A historic building in downtown Joplin is being transformed into a hotel. I'm Zach Dodge with when the first visitors could start booking their rooms. Coming up.
The pandemic put local health departments in the spotlight. It also put a strain on their staff and resources. I'm Chris Warner. We're going to talk with a couple of local health departments about how they feel they handled the response to the pandemic and what they could have done better.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
More than a year into the pandemic, local health departments are looking back at how their responses stacked up. This is KOAM News at 6. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with the Crawford County and Newton County health departments on what they've learned and how they feel they did.
Over the past 15 months, local health departments have been put front and center in the public's eye due to the pandemic. We checked in with 2 of the many local health departments in our area to see how they feel about their response to the pandemic so far. In Crawford County, Teddy Van Kam says for her, the biggest area to improve was managing staffing. She created teams, but feels it could have been better.
And I think I would have created that sooner and rotated people out a little bit sooner because, fatigue is one of your biggest enemies when you're trying to work through a pandemic.
In Newton County, Larry Bergner says his biggest obstacle was technology.
When we had the numbers spike rapidly, we found that we needed more computer programs, space, more programs that would help us to file and track and enter the data into the computer systems.
And as time went on, both departments feel they got into the hang of things quickly.
In public health, you train for disasters all the time. And it's just part of being public health. So, we have a preparedness program and we have policies and procedures and we practice them.
The healthcare community came together. We shared resources, we shared communication, data, and that was a very good thing, and it helped us get the resources out to the community much faster than otherwise would have been able to.
Bergner is hopeful that not only will the communities see the value of the local health department, but those in positions of power will as well.
We certainly hope that they will see that there is a need to increase local budgets so that when we need those upgrades in technology or when we need to quickly provide more personnel to tackle the pandemic or what's going on in the community, that we will have the funds available to do that.
I'm Chris Warner for KOAM News.
Both health departments want to remind residents that they have returned to providing the normal services community members expect, like WIC, women's health, and immunizations. 2 people are dead from separate accidents involving utility terrain vehicles in southwest Missouri. The first happened on a private trail near Highway 90, 10 miles east of Jane, Missouri. A man and woman got off a UTV and began walking toward another that had overturned. Then the vehicle they had just left began rolling downhill and struck them both. 63-year-old Dennis Hurley of Warsaw, Missouri was killed. 60-year-old Jacqueline Hurley has moderate injuries. The other accident happened about 3 miles south of Shell Knob, Missouri. 59-year-old Sherry Rains of Shell Knob was a passenger on a UTV. She was killed when the UTV overturned while backing up. Checking in with Doug Heddy. Once again, it is hot out there, Doug.
It is. Temperatures way up there once again for us today as we did go into the mid-90s, but plenty of sunshine. We have had a few little cumulus clouds kind of rotating through southwestern parts of Missouri, and over the next hour or 2, we could get an isolated thunderstorm or 2, but most of us are going to stay dry. There's not much going on out here, but you can see a few isolated guys trying to pop up across central Missouri. Huge dome of high pressure in charge, keeping us hot and mainly dry. This is going to continue as we go through the next several days. Look at our temps right now. Most of us low to mid 90s. Then you factor in the humidity and it still feels like it's upper 90s to near 100 degrees. When we roll through the rest of the evening, we drop back through the 90s, 80s, 70s. I think most of us will bottom out near 70 degrees a little bit later on tonight. We do have some rain chances in the forecast, also some relief from the heat. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
All right, see you then. Thanks, Doug. A historic building in downtown Joplin is being transformed into a business class hotel. KOAM Zach Dodge has details and why guests may be able to book a room sooner than you may think.
It'll be 1917 looking, but it'll have all the high-tech stuff of today.
The Robertson Apartments, a 100-year-old building at 410 South Wall in downtown Joplin, is getting a major facelift. First built in 1917, the Robertson was a very popular, state-of-the-art apartment complex for decades.
Back when it first opened, they always had a very lengthy waiting list because people wanted to live there due to the amenities and how modern it was at the time and its location.
Jill Sullivan at the Post Art Library explains it had tenants up into the early 2000s until the maintenance was let go and it became uninhabitable. Now, some 20 years later, windows are broken and boarded, brick is missing from pillars, and weeds are overtaking the lot. But plans are moving forward to turn it into a business-class hotel.
It's going to be an even more significant investment, yes.
Radisson Hotel Group Americas just signed the building onto their Radisson Individuals line of hotels, with plans to include 55 rooms and suites, a fitness center, and a 1,200 square foot meeting space.
That's something we've been missing here, is to be able to do everything, visitors to do everything in downtown. So I think it's definitely an important piece, and particularly with like the Cornell complex coming in and some of the other things that are happening and moving in downtown.
Like Lori Hahn just said, there's a lot of momentum coming to downtown, which is good for the city, but can be a hassle for people looking for somewhere to park.
We have a plan in place. We're not ready to release it, but we're working with some other adjacent property owners and looking at some other alternatives as well.
So we'll have to see how parking is handled. Something else that remains to be seen is how they plan to hit their targeted completion date of fall this year, just a few short months from now.
I think it's doable. We built the Hampton Inn in 6 months one time. We're not going to compromise quality or code to get it done. We hope to be open then. That's but if we aren't, then we'll keep pushing forward.
In Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Radisson says the Robertson Hotel will be the first hotel to open in downtown Joplin in more than 50 years. Carl Junction's police chief announces his retirement. Chief Delmer Haas announced his retirement today after 16 years in the position. In a statement on Facebook, Haas says, quote, "Carl Junction has become my adopted hometown. It's a great place to live." His last day is July 6th. Still ahead, Missouri Southern adds 2 new degree programs during its Board of Governors meeting, and Southwest Missouri Middle School students get a small taste of college life at Crowder College. The Missouri Southern Board of Governors approves 2 new degree programs and a tuition increase. The 2 new degree programs are a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Sciences and a Master of Arts in Teacher Education. The tuition increase amounts to a 4% hike for undergraduates. Before today's meeting, Missouri Southern officials toured the new Lion Village. It's a residential housing complex on campus. The 4-story, 92,000 square foot building will house around 300 students.
It's definitely not your traditional small room with community bathrooms. This one's a nice hybrid mix of different housing offering styles. It gives lots of space for students, both living and for outside the room.
The Lion Village is expected to be finished by August. Area middle schoolers are getting a small taste of college life at Crowder College in Neosho. Crowder Technical Education is holding a summer school program for kids going into grades 6 and 8. 150 students from Neosho, Seneca, McDonald County, and Diamond School Districts are attending. The program runs every weekday for 4 weeks. Students get to choose a different program each week. Those programs include Intro to Agriculture, Auto Tech, Computer Technology, Intro to Engineering, and more.
I think my favorite would be either ag or health science, because like in health science we got to like draw blood, use tourniquets and stuff like that, and then in ag we got to ride horses, we got to make ropes and different stuff that's hands-on.
Classes continue through June 25th. Later, the latest on a boat explosion in Lake of the Ozarks that injured 6 people from Nebraska.
Plus, temperatures heating up even more over the next couple days. We're going to look at that coming up Definitely turned out to be a hot one once again for us today. Temperatures have been heating up all week long, as most of us have seen just us adding a notch or two each and every day, and we're going to continue to do that over the next couple days. So heating up, heat indices are going to be high. We are going to get some thunderstorms in here by the time we head into late Sunday and Monday, and this is going to cool us down as well for early next week. Of course, you can get my long-range forecast on my month-long blog. That is KOAMnewsnow.com. All right, looking outside, it's 92. We got west winds at about 5. It's fairly calm. It's just hot and very humid, but you can see our temps around the metro. Most of us 90, 92, 93 degrees, all the way down toward Miami. And everybody else, much of the same, 94 in Nevada, 91 in Anderson. We got 93 in Bonita. Neodesha sitting at 96 degrees. Plus our humidity, our dew points have come up, and our dew points show us how much moisture is in the atmosphere. You can see most of us 70 to about 72 degrees, which that puts us in that muggy category. And that's where we're going to sit as we go through the next few days. So that's why our heat indices are high. It feels like upper 90s to near 100 degrees, and these have actually even come down a bit over the past couple hours. We'll drop back through the 90s, 80s, 70s, eventually near 70 a little bit later on tonight. But there's not too much going on. We have had a few cumulus clouds that have dropped through, and there may be an isolated thunder shower that tries to pop up McDonald County, Berry County, or Benton County, but most of us stay dry. You can see a few random guys, very isolated, and this is due to our big dome of high pressure out to the west, so we get these little tiny waves that kind of rotate around it. But until this breaks down, we can't get any big storm systems in here, and we're not going to see that happen until the second half of this weekend. All right, tonight looks okay. Some storms slide into central parts of Missouri early tomorrow morning. There's a very slight chance we could get a random isolated thunderstorm in here by tomorrow afternoon, very similar to what we've had today. 91 by noon. High temp right around 96, southwest winds at about 5 to 10. Tomorrow night looks fine. We drop back lower 70s once again. Any thunderstorms into Friday mainly stay to our north. I think we'll stay dry. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid, upper 90s on Friday. Even going into Saturday, storms mainly stay to our north. So I really think in general, we're dry over the next several days. Heat indices are going to be up there, 100 to 102 for us tomorrow. Let's go into Friday. Heat indices 102, 103 across the region. But here's the good news. Here's where we start to see a little bit of changes as we head down the road. We start to get a cold front that is going to slide into the region. What this is going to do for us is give us pretty good chances for showers and thunderstorms late Sunday into Monday. And then once the front passes through, that's when things get really good, because our temperatures are going to feel really nice by early next week. But the next few days, hot and humid. 96 tomorrow, 96 Friday, 93 on Saturday, and then some thunderstorm chances, mainly late Sunday. I really think most of Father's Day looks fine, just kind of hot and humid.
And we are really going to appreciate those 80-degree temperatures when they get here.
That's going to be a significant difference.
Yes, 20 degrees. It's going to feel like it. Thanks, Doug. Still ahead, Pulaski County, Missouri authorities solve a 40-year-old Jane Doe case using modern technology. Authorities say 5 people from Nebraska were seriously injured when a boat exploded at the Lake of the Ozarks. Missouri State Highway Patrol says the explosion happened yesterday afternoon near Sunrise Beach. The patrol says the boat was secured at a dock when a mechanical problem caused a fuel-related fire. James and Carrie Hohenstein, Brad Van Winkle, and 2 children aged 12 and 16 were seriously injured. A 2-year-old suffered minor injuries. The 16-year-old and Van Winkle were flown to a Columbia hospital, while 3 others were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The people on the boat are from Gretna and Elkhorn, Nebraska. A Mount Vernon, Missouri man dies in a canoe accident. It happened yesterday on James River in Stone County, about a half-mile downstream from the Hootentown access. According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, the canoe overturned while fighting the current going upstream. 87-year-old Willis B. Hull was thrown from the boat and drowned. Detectives have solved a 40-year-old Jane Doe case in Pulaski County, Missouri. Her body had been discovered near a creek in Dixon. Pulaski County detectives hooked up with the Doe Project. It's a nonprofit organization run strictly on donations and helps law enforcement agencies solve even some of the coldest cases using genealogy. That group was able to give Karen Nippers her identity back. Reporter Frances Watson has details.
Our mission is to return the names to the nameless.
Francesca Warden with the Doe Project says there are nearly 60,000 unidentified people across the country.
These are the cases that keep the folks at the law enforcement agencies who are shepherding them up at night.
Pulaski County Sheriff's detectives reached out to the organization for their help. A woman's body was found at a low water crossing in Dixon in 1981. About 40 years later, the Jane Doe buried in the Waynesville Cemetery had a name, Karen Nippers.
It's always a thrill when the solve comes through.
Karen Binder was the lead on the Pulaski County case.
So there's a lot of stuff that happens before we even get involved.
Investigators reopened Knipper's case in 2012. Her remains were exhumed to get DNA samples. Then anthropologists successfully developed a genetic profile. That information converted into data that's compared to other samples electronically.
We take a match from over here and a match from over here. We build them up to build out their family trees to see who their most recent common ancestor is.
Matching her profile with a second cousin who was then compared to Knipper's brother, giving closure not only to authorities and community, but to her loved ones as well.
A lot of these cases that we're solving 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, and the parents have always been looking for them. The family has always been looking for them and never got those answers.
I really do feel that this is a humanitarian effort, and it's doing good for every community that we touch.
The Doe Project has been around only since 2017, but has already identified more than 50 John and Jane Does across the country. They even help small law enforcement agencies like Pulaski County with funding to solve cases. Final check on the weather is next.
Got it.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Airman First Class William Hughes served in the U.S. Air Force. His hometown, Pitcher, Oklahoma, and we are proud to salute Airman First Class William Hughes. He's tonight's four-state hero. Jordan Abbey joins us now with what's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Tonight at 9, going to hear about lumber prices. Local workers say even though those prices have gone down recently, it might still be a good idea to hold off on some improvement projects. Also, how the Biden administration wants to fundamentally reshape education across the country. And a memorable marriage proposal for two meteorologists with a real tornado as their backdrop. That, of course, much more coming our way tonight. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
Jordan, thanks. That sounds like it's right up your alley.
Yeah.
We'll find out more
There'd
at
be a
9.
lot of planning, I would think. I haven't seen the story.
I would hope
but,
so. Well, if they're meteorologists, maybe they can kind of foresee that sort of thing.
We don't have to worry about any tornadic weather around us, but we have the heat and the humidity. High temp 96 tomorrow, high temp 96 on Friday.
See you back here at 10. In the meantime, let's take care of ourselves and each other and make it a great evening.
If you see news happening,